Okay, hi, this is the start of a 48-hour reading vlog. It's not the day that I'm gonna do it yet. I'm just coming here to give an introduction in advance. So basically, I'm participating in Becca and the Books 48-hour bookoplathon. It's gonna run from 21st of May to 22nd of May. Converted, it is my time 8 a.m. until 22nd May 7:59 a.m. So in those 48 hours, I'm just going to try and read whatever I can. After watching her video, I understand that I can double up, triple up anything, and I can also use currently reading books if it fits the prompt. So let me just introduce the two books that I know that I'm going to read so far. So the first prompt that she wrote was small book less than 300 pages. So the book that I'm going to read for that is Before the Coffee Gets Cold, so I'll put the picture here. It's also the book for Throne of Pages May buddy read. So yeah, I'm gonna hopefully finish that in the readathon, and it is 213 pages. The next prompt that she wrote was gods, so meaning religious themes, god characters, or anything sci-fi. The book that I've chosen is actually this Woven Kingdom. I'm also currently reading it this much. I am at page 162. So for this one, I think it fits the prompt because there's the whole talk about jinn and some prophecy or something like that, and then how the jinn's origins came about. There's a chapter called In the Beginning, right? It was something related to God, so I'm gonna use that for this prompt. Also, this was kindly sent to me by Times Reads. Should I read you the description first? So this Woven Kingdom is about Elijah and Kamran. So Elijah is a disposable servant, not the long lost heir to an ancient jinn kingdom, forced to hide in plain sight. So basically, to the rest of the world, she is a servant, but she's actually a long lost heir. So the crown prince Kamran has heard the prophecies foretelling the death of his king, but he could never have imagined that the servant girl with the strange eyes, the girl he can't put out of his mind, would one day uproot his kingdom and the world. So initial thoughts on this book: the first few chapters, I thought it was a bit lyrical, a bit rhyming. I'm listening to it via audiobook as well as physically reading. It took me a while to get into the writing, but after a while I felt like the lyrical rhymeness kind of faded and I started to get more into the story, and I'm quite interested and intrigued to see how Kamran and Elijah would interact, and also the whole thing about jinn is quite interesting as well. Yeah, I'm just very intrigued, and hopefully we'll be finishing this in the readathon. It's quite a big book. It's 495 pages. So yeah, I'll give you the description for Before the Coffee Gets Cold on the start of the readathon, I guess, because then I'll actually be reading it. Yeah, so I'll see you then. Good morning. I'm so tired, but okay, I had a good night's sleep. Anyway, so today is the start of Becca's 48-hour live bookoplathon. I haven't tuned into the live streams yet, but I'll do it later. I just wanted to update. I think you've seen from the time lapse just now that I read a little bit more of this Woven Kingdom, and still enjoying it so far. I'm at page 246 already, and I guess I'm almost halfway. I decided that I'm going to make a drink, maybe a coffee or something like that, and I really can't decide what to drink because I not so recently, ordered like the canoe latte sticks. So like this is mint choco, then we also have tiramisu and dose latte. I have no idea what is dose, but I think it's something like coffee milk, if I remember correctly from that time I googled. And then we have normal latte, and we have caramel latte, and we also have from the Maxim sticks, right? We have this variety, so one stick is a different flavor. So I think I'm probably going to just put all the different choices into the wheel, a random wheel, and then I'll just spin because originally I wanted to do a poll, but the poll would take time and I already want to drink it now to accompany my reading. So yeah, that's what I'm gonna do, and then I'll show you the wheel as I spin, I guess, and then I'll just update you throughout the day. So yeah, just hoping that I'll read many pages for this readathon. Okay, let's go. there it is. I don't know why my camera is doing this, so sorry about that. Okay, hi. So it has been a few hours since the morning update, and since then I've developed a bit of a flu, and I've already eaten the flu medicine. But if my voice sounds a bit different, it's because of that. So I have since finished this Woven Kingdom. Oh my gosh, can you see my tabs? Oh, oh my gosh, the cliffhanger though. Oh my god. I don't even know when the next book is going to be out, okay? It's going to need to reread this before the second book comes out. But yeah, so general thoughts about it. I ran it through Corpal, the rating system developed by G from Book Roast. I gave it 4.25 stars. Let me pull out my notes about it. Hold on. So this one has trigger warnings for physical abuse, death of a parent, classism, child death, descriptions of violence / gore, body shaming. The last few pages were like, oh my gosh, super exciting. A lot of things were happening all at once, and I was just very intrigued. I would say from the second half onwards, my tabs progressively got more. Strangely enough, even though I prefer when a story has very solid characters, fleshed out characters, but even though this one I felt that they were just fine. While I would normally relate to or really like a particular character, for this one I wouldn't say that I have, except if I had to choose, I would say Alicia. Speaking about characters, I really liked how Kamran, who is our main male lead, his conflicting emotions for his grandfather, who is the king of Ardunia, was described, because since young he would admire the king and have a lot of respect for him, but recently, because of this girl that popped up who is Alicia, he has been experiencing a bit of discomfort and not knowing what has happened to his feelings for the grandfather, because on the other hand is his respect for him since he was young, but on the other hand he's starting to see more sides to the grandfather that he has not known beforehand. So he's starting to see how the trust between them he thought was rock solid is starting to crumble, how they are suspecting each other but also misunderstanding their intentions or their emotions, their feelings for each other, because Kamran starts to think that the grandfather is not as noble as he once believed and things like that. Oh my gosh, I have to say that I love the pining, because it's such a big book, right? I love the pining between Alicia and Kamran, but I did not like the insta-love in a sense, because I felt that it was too sudden, you know. They know things about each other, but they have barely interacted. And okay, this might be a spoiler, so I'm just gonna put a spoiler warning. They kissed the second time they met. Hello, you had 500 pages to develop this. Why must it be insta-love? Talking about that, right, there was this particular scene where Kamran was dissecting his emotions and trying to see or evaluate why he can't stop thinking about Alicia, right? There were a few comments about classism, about how he does not like girls who are not intelligent, something like that. And then It's like in this world where classism is such a thing, some people can't help not having had the education, right? Because they must make a living for themselves. So it kind of rubbed me the wrong way. I have no idea what the author was trying to put forth in that scene, but yeah, I just didn't really feel comfortable with that scene. Okay, sorry that this review is so all over the place because I just wrote down my points as I thought about them. But yeah, so next one is about how I liked learning about the jinn in this world. But I'm still slightly confused about what they can do because Elijah is not just any other jinn, right? She's the long lost heir to the jinn kingdom, so I can't really tell what is an ability that specifically Elijah can do versus an ability that all jinn can do. So if you're watching this and you have read this before, maybe you can clarify it for me in the comments. But yeah, that's what I thought about that. Oh, also at the start, I think I already said that the start was quite lyrical, right? I liked that at the end it kind of came back to the riddles again because I kind of forgot about it, but I liked that there was this conclusion so that it wasn't just there for nothing, you know. And it was part of the reason that I was so shocked also. So there were quite a few things in here that made me shocked, although I'm not sure if I just wasn't expecting it or it was truly just shocking. Oh, there's also, okay, because Alicia has this side hustle, I would say. She designs gowns, something like that, for people and in exchange for money. And I wanted to read more about that actually. It kind of reminded me of Spin the Dawn, the whole thing about fashion and all the pins and needles and her skills with it as well. Another thing that I would like to mention in the spoilers section, so I'm just going to put a spoilers part again. Throughout the book, we see Kamran experiencing discomfort while wearing silk clothing, and at first I thought it was just a general discomfort thing and I was wondering why he kept complaining about it. But towards the end, when Elijah finally sees him in the clothing and she sees his discomfort, she starts to ask him whether he is allergic to gold. Not allergic, sensitivity to gold. So because his clothing was all infused with gold threads, I'm not sure whether that will have an influence or an effect in the following books because this is a trilogy, right, if I remember correctly. So I just thought it was a very weird point to like infuse throughout the story and not bring it up only with this minor revelation towards the end. I'm not sure it will come out again, but it was just something that I wanted to note down. So that concludes my thoughts on this book, and again, sorry that it's so messy. But I'm now going to move on to Before the Coffee Gets Cold. So it's on my phone over here. I think I should read you the description now because I don't think I shared it with you in the previous clip. I would also like to add that This Woven Kingdom fulfills some of the prompts in the Asian Readathon, so I'm trying to clear both at the same time. Still thinking if I'm going to do a wrap up for Asian Readathon, but we shall see. So Before the Coffee Gets Cold is about this small cafe located in Tokyo in a small back alley, and the coffee shop offers its customers a unique experience, the chance to travel back in time. But it has certain risks that come along with it, so they must sit in a particular seat, they cannot leave the cafe, and finally they must return to the present before the coffee gets cold. So I've always heard this from a lot of people, so I'm thinking that it can also clear another prompt for the Asian Readathon, even though I would have cleared it already. It's only 213 pages, which is fulfilling the prompt of less than 300 pages for Becca's 48-hour bookoplathon first roll. So yeah, I'm just gonna start reading that now, and I'm very excited because I've always heard a lot of people reading it. It's finally my turn to read it. Yes, I will update you again later.
Please, you're reading Before the Coffee Gets Cold. That book is so precious. I haven't read it yet, but the concept is precious.
Hi, so it's currently 7:25 p.m. in my time. As you can see, the sky is getting darker and we are now in the midst of, I think it's B from Booked and Busy's sprint, and the roll drops have just been announced. So there's a roll drop every 12 hours. So that means 12 hours have passed for this readathon. So the two rolls, one of which was ebook or audiobook, and it perfectly fits with the book that I'm reading now, Before the Coffee Gets Cold, because I'm reading it as an ebook. So the next prompt was slightly more difficult for me because it's actually color in the title, so any color, but just nice, none of the books that I want to read this month have a color in the title, so I spent quite long trying to find a book and I was almost going to give up on that prompt altogether, but I went to check the picture of Dorian Gray, so there's the color grey, right, and just nice, it's a short read, so I'm gonna read that after I finish Before the Coffee Gets Cold. And yeah, I'm just very excited that so far I'll be able to hit 4 prompts out of 8 if I can finish my currently reading books. I think it's quite manageable because there's 12 hours until the next row drop, right? I really don't think I can hit all 8, but we're just aiming as many as we can, and I don't think that the number of pages that I read will be a lot also, but it's a good experience. My first 48-hour vlog, I guess. I'll give you more updates. Oh, for before the coffee gets cold, let me give you an update on where I am. So there's 4 short stories in this. It's about different customers in the cafe wanting to go back in time, and I finished one already. The first one is called The Lovers. In that one, it's more of like discovering how the cafe functions, how people can go back in time, and there are different rules, right? So let me read you the rules. I also jotted down the name of the cafe, which I found very interesting. It's called Funikula. I thought it was a very funny name, but yeah, I have no idea why it's named as such. So the rules, there's a lot of rules to go back to the past. So basically, the only people you can meet while in the past are those who have visited the cafe. There's nothing you can do while in the past that will change the present. Only one seat in the cafe can allow people to go back in time, and while in the past you cannot move from that seat, and there is also a time limit. As I mentioned, you have to return before the coffee gets cold, and one last one is you must drink the entire cup of coffee when you return to the past before it gets cold. So there's a lot of rules that normally deters people from wanting to go back to the past. We are at the second short story now. I'm still at the beginning, I believe. This one is called Husband and Wife. I'm liking the writing so far. It kind of reminds me of Temple Ellie Summer. Put the book cover here. I think maybe it might be because both are translated fiction, and the sense of writing just reminds me of that book. Nothing in terms of the content or anything. I really love the descriptions of translated fiction because I don't know, I just feel so much love for it. Yeah, and I don't know if I'll give it a high rating just yet because so far I'm thinking that it's fine. It's a fine story, and not sure if it will reach 4, but I don't think it will reach 5 unless anything else happens. So yeah, I'll give you more updates as we go. Sorry that it's just like different clips of me sitting in the same spot with my hair getting progressively worse and the sky darkening, but apart from that, nothing else has changed because I'm just really trying to read as much as possible.
I missed that. I'll take it. There you go. So yeah, so I've read 2 books so far, so I'm working on my 3rd prompt, and then I'm hoping to finish this tonight relatively fast and then move on to something else, but we'll see, I guess. So
I'm failing hard. My short book prompt was 30 pages, and that's all I've read.
Hi, it's now the second day, also the last day for the 48-hour readathon. So I have a lot of things to update you about, but I haven't managed to come on here because I looked like a mess and I needed to go and make myself look less like a mess. So it took some time, but in that time I managed to finish 2 books, so I'm just going to update you about that. Also about the new row drops that just come out. For Before the Coffee Gets Cold, I now know why it's called Funikula. Actually, it was mentioned at the start, but I just forgot about it when I was updating you. It's basically named after a childhood song. The trigger warnings might be spoilers, so I'm just going to put a spoiler screen if you don't want to know anything about it. Trigger warnings for Alzheimer's disease, car accident, chronic illness, death, pregnancy, and terminal illness. Okay, so end of the spoilers. So there's only 4 chapters in this book because it's a relatively short book, and I really enjoyed it so much. I gave it 4.25 stars, same rating as This Woven Kingdom. I teared up at the second short story. I didn't expect this book to be so emotional, but I teared up at the second story, the second chapter basically. And oh my gosh, it's like the kind of translated fiction that I love because I said, right, it gives me the Temple Ellie Summer vibes. The writing, the descriptions, the characters are so fleshed out to me. The plot is kind of there, but the characters are just the ones shining in this cafe, and the vibes of this cafe, oh my gosh, everything. And the rules just get more and more as we continue reading, so I don't want to talk about the new rules that I learned about just in case that they're considered spoilers, but I just really enjoyed it, and the concept of time traveling fits this cafe so well, and I really enjoyed it a lot. This is part of a series, so there's another book after this. I think it's just a duology. So after this, it's called Tales from the Cafe or something like that. I think it's just more of the same thing, different characters and their stories, and I'm very excited to read that probably next month because I still have some books that I have to get to before May ends. So that was Before the Coffee Gets Cold. Very, very excited and happy that it has lived up to the hype for me. Oh, just some minor things that I experienced while reading this. You have to drink the coffee before it gets cold, right? All of it. And then they were stirring their coffee at some point, and I was just thinking, why would you stir your coffee if it will only help the coffee get cold faster? But I guess if I were in that position, I would also be unconsciously stirring the coffee in a sense, because there's nothing much to do with this coffee in front of me. I can't leave the seat, that kind of thing, right? And also, we learned that the cafe is always kind of cooling and pretty cold despite not having any air conditioning, and nobody knows why. And that just makes me wonder, won't that make the coffee get cold faster as well? So yeah, that's just something that I was considering and thinking about while reading the books. And despite it only having 4 chapters and each chapter focusing on a different character, I like that the story still links up all together as a whole. So I really enjoyed that. And the next read was The Picture of Dorian Gray, right? I explained that it was the prompt, any color in the title, and I gave it 1 star. I have so many minor things to talk about this, so I have no idea. Maybe because it's a classic, there are so many editions for this book, and I have no idea why my ebook copy is only 93 pages. I think that's definitely not the complete story. Maybe like a summarized version, I don't know, but I'm gonna count it anyway because that's the copy that I have, and I read it and I finished it. It didn't match up with any of the audiobooks that my library had, so I decided to give it on the audiobook and just read it since it's just 93 pages, and I gave it 1.5 stars. If you know anything about me, you'll know that I don't normally read classics, so I can understand why. I had some hope for this one because everybody was raving about it, right? But maybe because my copy was so summarized, or maybe I just am someone who doesn't enjoy classics, I wasn't intrigued enough to want to find the full version and read it properly also. The Picture of Dorian Gray is actually about this character Dorian Gray. His friend is a painter, and he likes to find Dorian Gray to act as his muse, so he'll paint portraits of Dorian Gray. And one day he paints this super beautiful portrait of Dorian Gray, and Dorian Gray becomes jealous of his picture because of something that this guy that he met that day talked about. So he was basically saying how Dorian Gray is young, so he has to cherish his youth, that kind of thing, you know, because once time passes, you will never look that young again, that kind of thing. So Dorian Gray got influenced by that, and when he saw how beautiful that portrait was of him, he became jealous of the portrait, and he was saying how it's not fair that his beauty and youth and everything is captured and maintained forever in that portrait while he himself ages. So he thinks it's not fair. He comes to own that painting, and somehow because of that, in real life his looks does not change anymore, so he's always at that beautiful facade outside, while the painting itself gets more and more aged and corrupted and just uglier as Dorian Gray ages, because he is becoming more and more corrupted. There are also trigger warnings for this. Trigger warnings: ableism, animal death, anti-Semitism, blood, death, drugs, fatphobia, misogyny, murder, racism, sexism, suicide. Maybe because my copy was so condensed, I didn't really see some of these because maybe certain scenes were cut out. I really have no idea what that copy is, okay? There's a lot of trigger warnings for that, and it's just a no thoughts hit empty kind of read for me, basically, because it was so short and I honestly didn't care about the story anymore. So sad to say, I don't think I'll be trying any more classics unless, I don't know, somebody markets it to me as like a very good classic, and maybe I'll give it a try. But yeah, so that was that. So far we have finished 3 books already, and I'm just like to update you on the number of pages I've read so far. It's 654 already, and the roll drops that happened at 7 a.m. my time, one of the prompts was to read a spooky book or a book with a spooky cover, and for that I decided to reuse it for The Picture of Dorian Gray, because, don't fight me on this, the cover is spooky. Look at his face, oh my gosh. If this cover is not spooky enough for you, you can look online. There are more covers out there. I'm certain one of them will be spooky enough for you. So yeah, so that was 1 prompt down. Liking that every roll drop I can use more than 1 prompt to answer for a certain book, and then the next prompt is actually a YA book. So I'm planning to start on Dear Martin. You can see that I've put my bookmark already. Dear Martin by Nick Stone. Let me just read you the book description. Justice McAllister is top of his class at Bristleton Prep, captain of the debate team, and set for an Ivy League school next year. But none of that matters to the police officer who just put him in handcuffs. He's eventually released without charges or an apology, but the incident rattles him. Despite leaving his rough neighborhood, he can't seem to escape the scorn of his former peers or the attitude of his new classmates. The only exception, Sarah Jane, Justice's gorgeous and white debate partner he wishes he didn't have a thing for. Justice has studied the teachings of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. But do they hold up now? He starts a journal to Dr. King to find out. Oh, so that's what the Dear Martin is for. Okay. Then Justice goes driving with his best friend Manny. Windows rolled down, music turned up, way up. Much to the fury of the white off-duty cop beside them, words fly, shots are fired, and Justice and Manny are caught in the crosshairs. In the media file, it's Justice who is under attack. Looks like a very heavy read filled with a lot of discussions, good discussions, and it's a very short read actually. It's only 208 pages and I got this from the library. I am very excited to read this. Hopefully I can finish this before the readathon ends. I'm not sure if I will be reading any more books after this because I can probably only read until tonight because tomorrow I have to go to work, so I probably won't be reading in the morning. So yeah, we shall see where it goes and I'll update you again later. Hi, so I'm back with an update. I have just finished Dear Martin. Let me just pull out my review of it. Overall, I gave it 3.5 stars. Actually a very quick read, so I really think that if you need a short read to finish in one sitting, that kind, you can go for this book, and it's definitely a read that everybody needs to get their hands on because it's so important. This was published in 2017, but I feel like even published today, people still need to read it because the issues are still there. Trigger warnings for death, gangs, murder, police brutality, racial caricatures, racism and stereotypes. Things happened in this book that shocked me because I wasn't necessarily expecting them. And also, I finally realized what Dear Martin is for, right? When I was reading you the blurb, he's writing to Martin Luther King Jr. But I don't really know how I feel about that concept because to me the letters were more diary entries. I understand why Martin Luther King Jr. was chosen, but I'm not quite sure how I feel about it still. I liked that there were some parts that were used, transcripts, that kind of thing, so I went for the audiobook to listen to just specifically those parts, but I preferred reading physically for the rest of the parts. For such a short book, it's really impactful and good, and I just recommend people to read it. No matter your age, it's just very important to read about the issues that black people are facing. Yes, so we currently are 40 minutes away from the next roll drop. I'm probably not going to read anything. I'm just going to take a break and see whether I'm going to read any more books for the last roll drop. If not, I'll just come back and conclude the reading vlog. Hi! The roll drops have been dropped. We have our final 2 prompts. So the first one is water on the cover, and from the live stream, Maddie from Book Browsing Blog clarified that Becca has also said that anything blue related on the cover counts. So I obviously went for Truly Devious by Maureen Johnson. It's completely blue, but it's a little bit thick, so I'm gonna try the second prompt and see what comes out from there, and then we will decide what we will read. Probably not gonna finish it, but I guess if we start and get some parts of it through, it counts, right? Okay, so the second one is feed scroll. So I'm gonna try all 3. Just 2. Goodreads and Instagram, and then we will see what comes up, and then we will choose. Okay, so basically that one is you just scroll until you find a book that you can access or you already own. So let's start with Goodreads first. Okay, let me start my screen recording. Let's start with Goodreads. I don't have any of this. I've already written the stars. I kissed Shara Wheeler. I think I have the ebook of it, but it's 354 pages. So this will be the thing that came out from Goodreads, I guess. It counts if I have the ebook, right? Or must it be the physical book? I am not reading A Little Life, my friend Nicole. Okay, I'm just gonna stop here, cut everything out. Yeah, so from Goodreads it was I Kissed Shara Wheeler. Then now we shall see for Instagram. So I'm just gonna refresh the page. Love and Other Words. I have the ebook as well. Okay, so we shall see. Let me continue scrolling first just in case. I'm not reading Me Before You, that's for another video. Okay, let's just stop here. So my options are I Kissed Shara Wheeler, Love and Other Words, and Truly Devious. So let me just think about it first, okay? And I'll come back. Okay, I am back. I have decided to just go with Truly Devious because my library, the audiobook for Love and Other Words is not available, and my ebook of I Kissed Shara Wheeler is super long, so I'm just gonna read this even though it's relatively long as well. So if you're not familiar with Truly Devious, let me read you the blurb. Ellingham Academy is a famous private school in Vermont. It was founded by Albert Ellingham, an early 20th century tycoon who wanted to make a wonderful place full of riddles, twisting pathways, and gardens. A place, he said, where learning is a game. In 1936, shortly after the school opened, Ellingham's wife and daughter, Iris and Alice, were kidnapped. The only real clue was a mocking riddle listing methods of murder, signed with the frightening pseudonym Truly Devious. It became one of the great crimes of American history. Something like that could never happen again, of course. Years later, true crime aficionado Stevie Bell is set to begin her first year at Ellingham Academy, and she has an ambitious plan. She will solve this cold case. That is, she will solve the case when she gets a grip on her demanding new school life and her housemates, the inventor, the novelist, the actor, the artist, and the jokester. But something strange is happening. Truly Devious makes a surprise return, and death revisits Ellingham Academy. The past has crawled out of its grave. Someone has gotten away with murder. It is the first novel in a murder mystery, I would say trilogy, but there's a fourth book also, but not related to this trilogy, by Maureen Johnson. Definitely cannot finish this by today. I'm just gonna keep reading, and then before I go to sleep, I'll just end off the vlog, and probably when I edit, I will give you my rating. Yes, so see you then.
To collect these strange things she found and keep them in what she called her museum. The best thing Dottie found was a silver lighter. She flicked it on and off and was pleased by its smooth motion. She was definitely going to turn the lighter in.
Hi, this is the final clip of this vlog. I have come to close out the vlog actually because it's definitely been way too long and I don't even know if anybody is still watching. I managed to get into 60 pages of Truly Devious, not as much as I hoped for, but still some progress at least. And what we have seen so far is that Stevie Bell has moved into Ellingham Academy's dormitory and she's meeting her different roommates. And we also have this point of view that is back in 1936 where we see what happened when Ellingham's wife and daughter were kidnapped. There's also this character named, I think, Dorothea or Dottie in the prologue, and we haven't come back to her yet, so I'm not sure what role she plays in this, but we'll see. So let me kind of close out the vlog. In this vlog, I read 4.25 books. This is my 0.25, and I would think it's quite a good accomplishment considering how the genres were quite different also. So this Woven Kingdom was fantasy. Before the Coffee Gets Cold is also fantasy but a bit of sci-fi, translated fiction. The Picture of Dorian Gray is a classic, and Dear Martin, which is the fourth book, was a contemporary fiction, and last but not least, Truly Devious is like a mystery thriller. And out of the 4.25, I really enjoyed 2, enjoyed 1, hated 1, and just started the last one. So I would say it's quite good, a mixed bag, but overall still quite good. These are the 3 physical books that I touched and kind of finished 2 of in this vlog. You can see the number of tabs for this Woven Kingdom, and then we add on the ebooks that I read. Definitely a very productive 48 hours. I'm gonna close out the vlog here. If you are still watching, please comment a sleeping emoji because that's what I really feel like doing now, although there's work tomorrow. But yeah, sleeping emoji. I did sleep in this readathon, but I'm still very tired from constantly reading. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed watching this kind of boring video since all I did was read. I'll try to make it more interesting next time, but it was quite interesting to see my comment get flashed on the screen for the reading sprints. It was quite a good experience. I think that's all I have to say. So I hope you have a good day or the rest of the week whenever or wherever you're watching this, and I'll see you in my next video.